welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, we're looking at a massive 44 million Swedish kroner jackpot today at the legendary Solvalla track.
Such a huge pool.
And our desk is just completely covered in this thick stack of expert analyses, stable reports, performance data. Basically, our mission is to guide you through the entire 8-race card, chronologically from V85-1 all the way to V85-8.
Right, breaking it all down.
Exactly. We're identifying the consensus favorites, the dangerous challengers, and of course those high-value long shots, the Skreller, all while decoding the tactical puzzles of every single race.
Because today isn't just about, picking winners.
No, definitely not.
It's about understanding why the consensus points in certain directions and, crucially, how to spot the hidden value when the crowd overreacts to something.
And speaking of overreacting, I mean, spring is arriving, the tracks are thawing out and getting significantly faster.
Oh, yeah.
Which means gear changes like racing barefoot and early speed matter more than ever right now.
They completely rewrite the physiological equations of these races.
So let's jump right into it. We're seeing that exact volatility immediately in the opening duel, V85-1.
The barefoot factor is huge here.
It is. Looking across the material, the consensus highlights two heavyweights. You have, number 1, Look Like Gaga, who won easily from the outside over in Norway.
And secured a brilliant inside draw today.
Exactly. And then you have number 5, Home Safe, coming in with 5 straight wins and just this incredible reputation for absolute grit.
But the challengers are dangerous. You've got 2 Handful of Dollar, who is very strong but galloped last time.
Right. And 11, Romulus Diablo, who is in top form but drew a terrible starting position.
Yeah, post 11 is tough.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Because the highly anticipated gear change here is going barefoot all around for both Home Safe and Handful Dollar.
Yes.
It feels like a human athlete trading heavy training boots for ultralight track spikes. But my question to you is, if everyone knows barefoot is faster, does the advantage just, cancel out?
Well, what's fascinating here is that not all horses adapt equally to running without shoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The consensus across the material is that taking the shoes off removes a crucial pendulum weight. That weight helps them maintain their trotting rhythm.
So it's a balance thing.
Exactly. If Home Safe adapts well, he could dominate. His underlying engine is massive. But if he gets wobbly and breaks stride, he ruins his own race.
And if Home Safe Gaga holds the lead from that inside draw right from the start, the race geometry changes entirely.
It does. Home Safe would be forced to pace on the outside, taking all that wind resistance.
Which drains energy fast.
Yeah.
So from the tactical gear changes of the opener, let's move to pure, unadulterated raw talent in the second race, V85-2.
The young prodigy's return.
Yes. Number 3, Wise Guy. A 4-year-old with massive hype, 4 million kroner banked, and he set a world record last year.
And he's making his season debut under a highly anticipated new trainer, Daniel Redden.
Right, and they're going all in right away. Optimal gear, immediately barefoot all around, and pulling an American bike.
But the challengers aren't just going to hand it to him. You have 6 Pure Count, who is lightning fast out of the gate.
And 2 Xerix, who had a great 3-year-old season, plus 5 Vanderbilt. But I have to push back here.
Go ahead.
Trusting a horse making its season debut is like trusting a star quarterback playing their first game after an off-season surgery. Is the crowd blinding themselves with his past world record and just completely ignoring the rust?
It's a fair question, and there's a fascinating statistical whisper in the sources about this.
What's it that?
The new trainer's recent stats with horses making their season debut haven't been stellar. One metric actually cites a 1 in 30 win rate recently in these exact situations.
Why? 1 in 30. That's a huge red flag.
It is. But the consensus counters that by looking at the gear. Applying that optimal gear, the American bike and barefoot immediately signals serious intent. You don't waste that configuration on a practice run.
That makes sense. But the wild card is 6 Pure Count. If he takes the early lead, does he yield to the favorite, or does he make it a fight?
If he makes it a fight, Wise Guy's lack of conditioning might get exposed.
Right. So while V85-2 is all about potential and youth, the third race, V85-3, is about established dominance and finding the ultimate value bet.
We are talking about number 5, Maroon Day.
Exactly. Coming off 4 straight wins, incredibly strong, and a very likely front runner.
The challengers trying to crack him are 2 Xanthus Hilton, who has a perfect draw and won just last week, and 4 Kip Kid Ramirez.
And we also have some long shots, like 8 Keep Gamble and 10 King and Mirrors. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Across all the sources, There is this massive collective obsession with 8 Keep Gamble as the ultimate long shot.
Even with that terrible starting position.
Right. Post 8 is awful, and he's valued at barely 4% by the public. Why is the data so obsessed with him?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's a textbook case of value betting. Keep Gamble is racing barefoot all around, and he's driven by a top driver, Magnus A. Jews.
Who is incredible at timing a race.
Exactly. The horse has elite raw strength. The consensus agrees that Maroon Day is the rightful favorite.
Sure.
But the mathematical value lies in Keep Gamble if the front runners, like Xanthus Hilton, push the pace too hard early on.
So if they burn each other out, Jews just sweeps past them at the end.
Precisely.
Speaking of terrible starting positions, the next race basically builds an entire format around them. V85-4 is the Sportrappa conundrum.
The staircase race.
Right, for mares, where the horses that have earned the most money get penalized with the worst starting positions.
Which brings us to the favorite, 15 Raya Hollered.
She has banked over 1.5 million kronor, but she starts dead last in the third tier. It's like playing a game of Mario Kart where the best player is forced to start at the very back of the grid.
That's a great way to picture it.
Raw speed is great, but how do you navigate 14 other competitors without crashing into traffic?
Well, the expert consensus highlights exactly that tension. Raya Hollered's raw speed is vastly superior to the field.
But the math of navigating a 15-horse field is just brutal.
Yes. Every time she pulls out to pass, she hits a wall of wind resistance, which is why the sources widely recommend spreading your risk here.
The phrase they use is mola igen butiken, right? Paint the whole shot.
Exactly. You have to include challengers, horses like 8 Digital Last, who is going barefoot and had a huge finish last time.
And 2 Niharaja, who's fast out and a potential early leader.
Plus 14 Jolin. And the deeper long shots are super interesting too.
Yeah, the data points to 9 Helena SH, 13 Appy Express, and specifically 5 Pearl di Quattro.
Because Pearl di Quattro is getting a massive equipment upgrade, first time in an American bike and barefoot.
Which completely alters her aerodynamics. So navigating traffic is one thing, but navigating a horse's own unreliability is another entirely. That brings us to V85-5.
The unreliable powerhouse.
Number 2, Mr. Carnation. I look at this horse, and backing him feels like investing in a volatile tech stock.
That's spot on.
The ceiling is sky high. He has massive capacity, but he could completely crash at the starting line. He's galloped in 4 of his last 5 starts. Why do the experts still trust him?
2 words. The driver factor.
Okay.
Elite driver Erjan Kihlstrom is taking the reins today. The sources repeatedly point out that Kihlstrom is famous for his incredibly soft hands. He keeps difficult, nervous horses calm.
So if anyone can keep Mr. Carnation trotting smoothly, it's him.
Right. The consensus is that if Mr. Carnation trots cleanly, his physical engine just wins.
But if he spikes with adrenaline and breaks stride, you need a safety net.
Exactly. And that safety net is 301. Beautiful disaster. She's a very fast starter and the likely leader.
The challengers are deep here too, though. 8, Ready for Cash NO, is getting a huge Norwegian buzz after a fantastic sprint last time.
And you can't ignore 4 Tiger Tile or 1 Call Me Ottilia, who had a great debut for a new trainer.
Even 12 Star Brigadoon is undefeated, though burdened with a terrible draw.
But it really all comes down to Mr. Carnation's temper.
It does. And from a battle of temperament, we move to a fascinating internal stable rivalry in Race 6, V85-6.
This is a great tactical puzzle. Trainer Christopher Eriksson brings 2 heavyweights.
He's got number 2, Kiss My ID, who has a perfect inside draw and is the likely leader.
And he also has number 8, Indie Boy, who has an awful outside draw, but Kihlstrom is driving him.
So what does this all mean? Because the trainer himself publicly admitted that the horse on the outside, Indie Boy, is actually the better horse.
Yes.
Yet the inside horse, Kiss My ID, is the consensus favorite among the public.
It's all about the geometry of racing. The inside draw dictates the flow of the race. The public is betting that the inside horse controls the rail and forces the outside horse to burn energy on the curves.
Right, fighting the outward pull.
Yeah.
But the consensus warns against ignoring the outside horse.
Because Kihlstrom has a knack for finding paths that shouldn't mathematically exist.
He really does. But the challengers are waiting to exploit this stable duel. 6 Global Futurity comes in with 3 straight wins from the lead and is racing barefoot.
And 1 Parish Crooks VS, plus 10, 4 White EG.
But the real hidden gem in the data here is 9 Points King.
Oh, absolutely. This horse has elite underlying metrics.
But he's sitting at only about 4% value.
Because the general public is heavily under-respecting him. The collective data shows he was trapped last time with unspent energy. If the two stablemates duel too hard, 9 Points King is perfectly positioned to draft behind them and strike.
I love that Haley value. So while race 6 is a cerebral tactical puzzle, race 7, V85-7 is just a pure clash of titans.
The Gold Division heavyweight bout.
International stakes are on the line. It's an ELOPIT, meaning the top performers earn points toward a ticket to the legendary Elidlopit.
And it really comes down to a showdown between two massive stars.
Number 2, A Fair Day, the incredibly popular people's horse, who has 14 wins and 15 tries from the lead.
Facing off against number 5 Melby Jinx, who had a spectacular season debut and is blindingly fast.
It's like a heavyweight title fight where the first 10 seconds dictate the next 12 rounds.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I mean, if A Fair Day is nearly unbeatable from the lead,
Yeah.
and Melby Jinx is fast enough to steal that lead, isn't this just a drag race to the first turn?
This raises an important question about risk management. The consensus is heavily split here.
How so?
Some sources view A Fair Day as an absolute lock because of that inside track advantage.
He just holds the rail.
Right. But others believe Melby Jinx's pure fast twitch speed can cross him over before the turn.
Which would be massive.
The synthesis of the data suggests the most likely scenario is A Fair Day holding the lead, making him the most logical anchor for your ticket.
But if they engage in a kamikaze opening pace, they'll flood their legs with lactic acid.
Exactly. And that brings the closers into the statistical picture. Horses like 11 Diva Ek, who relies entirely on an overpace to win, or 8 High on Pepper.
They just sit back and watch the favorites destroy each other, then pick up the pieces.
It's a brutal but effective strategy.
Right. After the adrenaline of the Gold Division, we finally reach the finale, V85-8, where preparation meets desperation.
The favorite here is 6. Follow him.
Heavily prepped, specifically for this final. He's coming off a massive performance from the outside of the leader.
He's the most complete horse in the field according to overwhelming agreement across the material.
The challenges are tough, though. For Jericho Brick is deadly from the lead.
And we have some interesting long shots. 7 Alvina Roy has great form but a bad draw, and 3 Ogden Boko.
But the horse that really fractures the data is One Ideal Stone.
Yes, this is a huge debate.
He disappointed just last week, and now he's racing week to week. Is racing week to week a sign of panic from the stable, or a sign that the trainer knows the horse is better than the last result?
The consensus is deeply divided on this. Some sources throw Ideal Stone out entirely.
Because of heavy legs.
Right, lingering muscle fatigue from last week. But others see massive value in that quick turnaround. Sometimes a tough race acts as a physiological flush and wakes the horse up.
That makes sense. But speaking of value, multiple experts shine a huge spotlight on 11 Xanthus JR as the ultimate long shot here.
He is the definition of due for a win.
The data shows massive hidden form, right?
Yes, he's been tracked behind other horses multiple times recently, which means he crossed the finish line with his heart rate completely under control and unspent energy in the tank.
So he's perfectly positioned to capitalize if the favorites duel too hard early on.
Exactly. He is sitting on a powder keg of unspent energy.
What an incredible breakdown of this card. You know, looking back at the journey we've just taken through these 8 races, we've seen how much context matters.
It really is everything.
We saw how gear changes, like barefoot racing, demand perfect balance in the openers. We saw how starting positions completely warp the math in the Sport Choppa.
And how early speed dictates the Gold Division.
Right. If you are just looking at a spreadsheet of a horse's past earnings, you are missing the whole picture. Analyzing this stack of sources proves that raw data is completely useless without the immediate physical context.
You need to know the track position, the gear changes, and the driver tendencies.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. Today, we looked at how public consensus often overvalues past reputation, like a world record set a year ago, and undervalues hidden situational changes.
Yeah.
Think about your own life, whether it's in business, your investments, or even evaluating the people around you. Where are you blindly trusting the consensus favorite without checking if they're suddenly running barefoot from a really bad starting position?
Such a great question, because the raw data almost never tells you the whole story. Thanks for taking the plunge with us today. Keep questioning the consensus, and we will see you on the next Deep Dive.